So, you're not sure what to bet? Don't worry, I got you. Welcome, football fans, grid, iron, gamblers, and degenerates. It's Mitch here with my last minute Week 4 must bets, spreads, totals, player props, and everything in between. Before I give you my last minute must bets for Week 4, don't forget to spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni. We have multiple best bet videos a week here on Money Mitch. Subscribe to the channel, man, and show your love. And comment below. What's your favorite bet for Week 4? And if you need any advice, ask your question. I got you. Don't worry, man. I'm here for a reason, bro. We're all here to make money together. This is a community. Okay? So let's make some money. No graphics, nothing pretty. We're talking football, okay? So you guys have seen my spread picks. If you're not on Patreon, get on Patreon. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment, $5 a month for all my bets, including my best bet every single week. Let's talk about Monday Night Football, because I kind of like some of these totals on Monday Night Football. I kind of like the overs on Monday Night Football. Typically, I like primetime unders. Typically. But this Monday, I'm liking points. First of all, we have the Dolphins and the Jets, two of the worst defenses in football. I, in particular, believe that the Dolphins will score some points in this game. They're at home. They've had 10 days to prepare. For a Jets defense that has been absolutely horrendous this year. Think about it. The Jets have given up what? At minimum, 28 points per game, 29 points per game through 3 games. Aaron Glenn's defense, he just continues to play the same old man-to-man coverage. They just recently lost one of their best linebackers and best defensive players, Quincy Williams, to injury. That is an absolute backbreaker because he's a good player. And the Dolphins, Tua, have largely had success against this Jets personnel on the defensive side. If Aaron Glenn wants to play man-to-man against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, good luck. Mike McDaniel is literally coaching for his job at this point. It's in prime time, at home, 10 days to prepare, 10 days to rest. We saw the Dolphins perform well on the road at Buffalo, move the football. We saw them move the football against New England at home the week previous. If you erase week 1 from your mind, the Dolphins kind of look like how we would expect, right? Like week 1 was really bad. I thought the Dolphins wouldn't be good this year. I thought they would be below average. They have kind of lived up to expectations after the first game of the season. Close loss to New England, sort of competing with the Bills, but not quite having enough talent, Tua not being good enough, all that stuff. Now they play the Jets, a defense that we know what we're going to get from them. It's man coverage. We know Tyreek Hill can burn man coverage. It's at home. It's Mike McDaniel. If he loses this game, he might be fired. So I'm just going to put my money on Mike McDaniel, one of the best offensive minds and play callers in football, with 10 days to prepare to put up some points. So I like the over in this game, over 45. I also like the Dolphins team total over 23.5. That would be minus 120 from what I've seen. The Jets, I do think, can move the ball as well, because I think they can dictate the line of scrimmage on their side of the football. I think they can run the ball with Breece Hall. Justin Fields, he's returning. Explosiveness will be there based on the running game. The Dolphins have struggled against the run this year. We saw that recently against Buffalo. So I think the Jets can move the ball based on their ground attack. I think the Dolphins can move the ball based on their air attack. I lean towards the Dolphins to win this game, the Dolphins to cover 2.5, because I just believe in Miami, in the heat, on prime time, 10 days to prepare against a bad Jets team. And Mike McDaniel, like, win or lose, it's your job, bro. Like, it could be like lose and go home. So I'm just going to believe in that guy right there. And I am not an Aaron Glenn fan. I am not a fan of the guy dancing on the sidelines. Meanwhile, his defense gives up a game-winning field goal, the drive after the blocked field goal. So, yeah, I like the over 45 there. I like the Dolphins over 23.5. I like how the Dolphins personnel matches up with Aaron Glenn's defense. I like Mike McDaniel's creativity to find ways to, like we saw against Buffalo, run the football, screen the football, get one-on-one matchups to where Tua can execute. And yeah, Tua is kind of terrible, but if he's seeing man coverage and he's got one-on-ones, he's going to make those throws and they're going to make those plays and they're going to create separation. So I think Miami has a good matchup here. I like the over with the Dolphins, 23.5. I like the over for the game, and I would even lean towards Miami to win and cover. That's on Monday Night Football. The other game on Monday night is Cincinnati-Denver. I also kind of like the over here. I think just at a base level, taking the Jake Browning Bengals to go over, like we did last week in our last-minute best bets, is not a bad play. Last week it went over, partly because the Vikings, their defense, they returned a couple touchdowns. The Vikings actually went over as a team. They went over the team, not the team total, the total in general, as a team by themselves. So that went way over, right? Now, part of that is the Bengals defense still is bad. The Bengals defense are on the road once again. And the Broncos have been pretty poor offensively, right, so far this season. But I do feel like they're due to break out. Sean Payton has a primetime spot. Bo Nix is playing the weakest defense he's played all year. There's a chance they can get their ground game going. We saw the Vikings and Jordan Mason run the ball really well there. Cortland Sutton could have a big game here. Evan Ingram has returned to the lineup. The Bengals suck against tight ends. The Broncos should have time. No Shamar Stewart, one of the best protecting offensive lines in football. The Broncos have been very poor on early downs, but I expect that to change against Cincinnati because the matchup is a good one for them. So I think the Broncos should be able to move the ball. And on the flip side, I kind of think that the Jake Browning difference between Joe Burrow and Browning is a little overrated because Browning has shown he can move the ball. And the other thing about him that helps an over is he is turnover happy. We saw that last week. We saw that the previous week against Jacksonville. That game went way over in Jacksonville. That was a high-scoring game. Browning was able to move the ball against Jacksonville. This Broncos defense is good, and they do have a nasty pass rush, and Cincinnati does have a susceptible offensive line. But I do think you can throw the ball with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on just about anybody. So let's say the Broncos get a lead. I could see the Bengals easily fighting their way back and making this competitive. A week after they were blown out in embarrassing fashion, where they were moving the ball against the Vikings, they just kept coughing it up, fumbling the ball, throwing interceptions. Multiple were returned for touchdowns. I just think this game makes for an over 44. I kind of believe in the Bengals offense, Browning, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and I believe that this is a great spot for the Broncos to get right offensively. Sean Payton will make it work. So I like the overs on both sides here. I really do. You know, if I were to project a score for each game, I would say like Denver 30, Cincinnati 21, something like that. 20. Miami, maybe like 27-17, somewhere in that range, 20-30-17, somewhere in that range. But that's right around the total, if not over. The Jets and the Dolphins, I think both teams score in the 20s. Like, I think that's a 27-24 game. So I am much higher on the score in that game because I don't believe in either defense. The Dolphins secondary is atrocious. The Dolphins pass rush can't sack the quarterback. So when you look back at Sunday, another total that's interesting to me is the Chargers and the Giants. Now, for one, I would look at the Giants team total under 17.5. Jackson Dart is a rookie quarterback taking on one of the best scoring defenses over the past 2 seasons in the Chargers. They are very stingy in the red zone. I could see the Giants moving the ball a little bit, but it's going to have to be a lot of dink and dunk and dink and dunk. And the Chargers don't give up big plays. They're very creative in their coverages. They're very sound in the back end. And this guy's going to make mistakes, right? So that might be a little scary, but you could rather look at it as an under 44 if you trust the Giants defense. Chargers having that travel early clock game, going west to east against the Giants pass rush. Chargers do have some injuries on the offensive line. I still think that Herbert will make his plays. I still think the Chargers can run the ball in this game, and I still think they'll hit some downfield shots. So I'm a little scared. I could see this game being like a 30-17 to where it does go over. That being said, though, this game could easily be a pretty ugly game, like a 23-16. So I would lean under for this game, but I think the larger play is Giants under 17.5. It's a rookie quarterback against a complex defense. Jesse Minter just came from the college level. He's going to see and know everything that the Giants are trying to do to his defense with Jackson Dart working RPOs and design run game and all that stuff. And I personally just don't believe in this Giants offense. I don't think they're going to score more than 17 points. Against this defense, it's going to be tough for them to score in the red zone. So I like the Chargers to keep the Giants under and keep it to a low total. I also would look at Pittsburgh under 20.5. This is minus 140 though. I do like the Vikings to win the game and cover, as I've discussed in my spread picks. This game's early on Sunday. It's the earliest game on the slate. It's the game in Ireland, Dublin, right? So I like Pittsburgh under though. I think Pittsburgh's offense is atrocious. They can't run the ball. Their offensive line is flawed. The Vikings right now have like the number one defense in EPA, if I'm not mistaken. Their pass rush, Grenard and Van Ginkel, effective. They can blitz from any angle. Flores is incredibly creative. Their weakness is against the run, and Pittsburgh can't run the ball, or stop the run, to be fair, but they can't run the ball. DK Metcalf's their only legitimate receiver, and really, they have nothing down the field except for screens underneath. Vikings have been very efficient at defeating blocks and tackling players in open space and defeating screen passes in quick game. This is just a nightmare matchup for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be hit a bunch of times. He's going to be antsy in the pocket. I think Pittsburgh scores more like 17 points here. So, yeah, you're laying a little bit of juice there, a pretty big, substantial amount, but I think that's a solid bet. I think under 20.5 feels very good to me. I think the Vikings win this game like 24-17, something like that. And I think it's on the back of their defense. So I would definitely lean towards the under. I think Pittsburgh's one of the more overrated teams in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has not played well against pressure, and that's what the Vikings do, pressure you. I kind of like every under against the Niners defense right now. Jacksonville under 21.5 is a solid bet. I would look at that. I feel like, without Nick Bosa, people will have questions. The lines will alter and change. But we even saw without Nick Bosa that Niner defense still played incredibly well against the Cardinals. I think Kyler's better than Lawrence. I think that Jacksonville's offense is probably better schemed. They do probably have better receivers, but Travis Hunter hasn't been effective, and he's kind of focused on playing defense. De'Ami Brown could actually be out of this game. So it's really just going to be Brian Thomas, Brenton Strange at tight end, and then, Parker Washington? So the Jags don't have much in terms of weaponry to attack this Niners defense. If the Niners can slow down Travis Etienne from running the ball, I find it difficult to see how Jacksonville moves the ball against Robert Saleh's unit, which so far looks like one of the fastest, freakiest defenses I watch on a weekly basis. Their linebackers are phenomenal. I think the rest of their D-line outside of Nick Bosa is substantially better. I think Bryce Huff has given them so much as a pass rusher. Michael Williams, the rookie, has been awesome. Yetur Gross-Matos has been very good situationally. And I really like how Lenore is playing, Upton Stout, some of these younger guys. I think the Niners defense, just every week, they're an under team to me right now because they're not healthy on offense. They know how they need to win these games, and Kyle is coaching it correctly. So I would look at the under 46.5 for the game. I would also take a big look at Jacksonville under 21.5. I think Jacksonville probably scores around 20 points. I think the Niners probably win like 24-20, something like that. Okay? Now, continuing with totals here, because I mostly focus on spreads throughout the week. There's not a lot of spreads, although I did mention Miami. Okay? I have mentioned, I don't really have a play on the spread for the Niners or Jacksonville. I do kind of like the Raiders, but something I like more here is the Raiders and Bears both to score 20 or more points. That's at minus 120. That's where I saw it at my book that I use. Minus 120, both teams to score 20 or more points. You could also take the over 47.5 in that game. I think this game will be a pretty high scoring game. Both defenses are the weaker units in these games. And when you look at it, the Bears have no pass rush. And the Raiders' biggest weakness this year has been their offensive line. But when Geno has time, he's got weapons. Brock Bowers looks healthier. Jacoby Myers is good. I love what I've seen from Trey Tucker. And this could be a game for Ashton Jeanty to go off. The Raiders have played substantially better run defenses so far this year than the Bears. Bears are a bottom 5 run defense this year and last year. So far, the Raiders have played Washington, who have been third best against running backs, the Patriots, who are second best against running backs, and the Chargers, who are very good defense. So Ashton Jeanty could have a really good game. That could balance them out, keep them out of bad down and distance. And I love the way that Geno's playing when he gets a chance to have some time. So I actually think the Raiders probably win this game. But I do like them to score 20 plus points. I do like the over because I think that the Raiders defense, Ben Johnson will find ways to scheme up points here. Like, the Raiders play a lot of the same coverages. They're very predictable in their defense, and when you give that opportunity to a very smart offensive coordinator to study all week how to pick apart your assignments, how to know your zones, like, he's going to pick you apart, and Caleb's going to have open guys. I also think the Bears have good matchups on the outside against these Raider corners. The Raiders have a decent pass rush and a decent run defense, but the Bears have been very effective with explosives through the air, play action, screens, things like that. So I think this game does go over. I also just like the both teams to score 20. I think that's just a better bet overall because it could be like 23-20 and you still win that bet and it would still go under the total of the game. And it's a similar price. So I'd rather bet that. But if you want to bet the over, I agree with that. If I were to go with either team, I'd go with the Raiders. On Sunday Night Football, we like the Packers on Sunday night. I love them in a teaser. And my teaser of the week is actually my best bet for the week on Patreon. So make sure you guys check that out on Patreon. Packers are a part of that teaser. So you take them down from 7 to -1. All they have to do is win by 2 points. Love that bet. But the Packers team total over 27.5 is a decent look too. The Cowboys have the worst defense in the NFL. And yes, Deron Bland is returning. Trayvon Diggs looks terrible. And I do think the Packers have a substantial speed advantage. I also feel like Matt LaFleur has owned Matt Eberflus, and Josh Jacobs should have a good day on the ground. Tucker Kraft has looked fantastic. This could be, and I think will be, the Matthew Golden breakout game. Jordan Love has played well to me. He just played the Browns last week with half an offensive line, and that kind of threw him off. But I think the Packers get back on track offensively. I think their defense dominates as well. That could lead to scores as well, as Dallas is trying to panic and come back. But I think particularly in the first half, the Packers are going to score a lot of points. I think there's going to be very good scripting, and Dallas is going to be head spinning because Matt LaFleur knows how to scheme it up, and he knows how to get explosives out of Jordan Love. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Packers are going to get ahead on the scoreboard. Cowboys are going to chase, and I think it's going to lead to the Packers scoring a lot of points here. So I think Green Bay gets to 30 in this game. So I like the over 27.5, right under 28, which is also a pretty big number too. Now let's focus on some player props that I also like. Those are some totals and potentially some spreads. I even threw out some teaser options for you in those games. Some props. And if you guys have questions, just let me know. So tying into the Pittsburgh game, I actually think Carson Wentz to throw over 1.5 touchdowns is a decent number right now. It's plus money, plus 135. Nobody thinks anything of Carson Wentz. Drake May threw 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. He had a chance to throw about 4 if they didn't fumble like 5 times. So Pittsburgh has been pretty bad against the pass this year. I'm pretty sure they've allowed 1.5 touchdowns in every game to each quarterback Justin Fields threw only 1 in week 1, but he ran for 2. So he had 3 total. And then Sam Darnold had 2 touchdowns in week 2. Drake May had 2 touchdowns in week 3. So this has been pretty consistent. The Steelers' defense is not very good. And I could see where Pittsburgh gives up some explosives. I could see Wentz hitting Justin Jefferson for a 20-yard touchdown, or I could see TJ Hawkinson near the goal line, or I could see Jordan Addison getting his way into the end zone in his first game. So I actually think that's a pretty good bet, given the odds that you're given against a defense that right now is just overrated. Geno Smith to throw over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I will let you know that I've actually bet this at -110. I do believe that the Raiders will score, as I mentioned, because I think he'll have time for the first time all season, because the Bears don't have a pass rush. And I do think the Bears are extremely susceptible in the secondary. I think that they're without Jalen Johnson. Kyler Gordon's been beat up. TJ Edwards at linebacker's been beat up. I think Geno, rather if he's chasing the game against Caleb Williams' offense, or if he's ahead, it's going to be a reason because Geno Smith is throwing the ball down the field. So I like him to throw 2 touchdowns. At basically even money, that's a solid bet, in my opinion. Drake May to score 1.5 passing touchdowns every week is a good bet, it feels like. He's never had an NFL game where he hasn't thrown a touchdown that he started and finished. So that just by itself is a pretty good bet. But again, it's -110 against the Carolina Panthers, who are not exactly the 85 Bears. Now, I could see the Patriots trying to run the ball, but Drake May just seems to throw 2 touchdowns a game. Like, he threw 2 touchdowns last week. He threw 2 touchdowns against Miami. The only reason he didn't against the Raiders is because it was raining pretty substantially. So Drake May just every week feels like he's going to hit more often than he misses on this 1.5 touchdown thing. So I don't hate that. Just throwing that out there. I do actually really like Jared Goff. I haven't bet this yet, but I probably will bet this over 1.5 touchdowns against Cleveland, because I don't think the Lions are going to be able to run the ball in the red zone against the Browns. I think it's going to be really difficult because of the Browns' front and because of the Browns' defensive line. So I think Goff is probably going to hit some downfield shots to Jamison Williams, to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, because the Browns play a lot of man coverage. And when you play a lot of man coverage, typically you lower the completion percentage, but you also uplift the explosive plays, because when that player gets separation, there's really not a lot of help around him. So I feel like that's a good bet too. Jared Goff, this could be a 2 touchdown day for him for sure. And I do like the Lions to cover that game. I do like the Lions to win that game. And I do think they have a good matchup against Cleveland. They're the most difficult team to cover in man coverage in football statistically. And Cleveland plays like more man coverage than anybody. So I think that's actually one of the most difficult matchups for maybe the best defense in the NFL. Some player props that I like under, or like just some other looks. So receiving yards. McMillan under 64.5 receiving yards for the Panthers. He's injured entering the game, and Christian Gonzalez is expected to play for the Patriots, who is a top 3, top 4 corner in the NFL. And if he does play most of the snaps, I find it highly unlikely that the Patriots would allow the only weapon for the Panthers to get over 65 yards. That wouldn't be a good look for the Patriots defense. I don't see that happening with Gonzalez playing like half the snaps probably. So that's a solid under. I also like in that game Hunter Henry to go over 38.5 receiving yards. He's had 2 performances out of 3 over this number. He also had a 90-yard performance last week against Pittsburgh, and Carolina has allowed the most yards to tight ends this season. So Hunter Henry's been Drake May's favorite target. I would bet that over. Michael Pittman over 50.5 at -118 from what I've seen. The Rams gave up a ton of yards to A.J. Brown. I think Daniel Jones will look to target his big receiver like A.J. Brown on the outside. No Pierce in this game, which takes away 1 target for the Colts, another big framed receiver. The Rams have very small corners without Ahkello Witherspoon. This is just a good physical matchup. And if the Colts are behind on the scoreboard, that means more passing. Stafford, if he's getting ahead with the Rams and they're scoring points, more passing from the Colts. So I think Pittman goes over. Those are all of my last-minute bets that I have out here. I will let you guys know, if you haven't already, go check out my spread picks, my 5 best spread picks. The ones that were just left off of my best bets, I considered the Bucks at +3.5, and I don't think that's a bad bet, but I just didn't have quite enough confidence to trigger it and to go with it. I also kind of like the Raiders, as I've mentioned, but those are some of them that just missed. Money lines, I do actually like where the Chargers money line is at this week. And I think if you could combine an LA money line parlay like the Chargers and the Rams, that's a pretty good one to me because I feel pretty good that the Rams are going to win. And I also the Patriots. I think the Patriots are definitely going to win this week. But if you don't like that 5.5, take the Patriots on the money line, take the Rams on the money line, take the Chargers on the money line. That's a pretty good parlay to me if you like those money line parlays. But some people just bet straight, which is totally fair and probably the right way to go. But just throwing out different options for you guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, Gronk spike the like button. If you're looking for more of my bets and my actual bets, what I've actually done. Some of these I bet, as I mentioned. Some of these I haven't. Some of these I might still bet. I still have time. So head over to Patreon and I give you like basically all my bets. I don't fool around. Like I just give you what I bet for the entire week. And I'm like, this is how much I bet on this. This is how much I bet on this. This is my best bet. This is my second best bet. So I go through the whole list for you guys. And then I'll do separate Thursday night, Monday night, Sunday night. If I'm betting the games, I'm not always going to bet the games because I'm not a degenerate, but I try to be smart. I kind of am, but I try to be smart. So Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. And good luck on your bets. Peace.